Hello, how are you? Thank you for taking the time to join me today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tanya K. Austin. I have a degree in behavioral science with a specialty of family and mental health studies. I am also a published author, a relationship and life coach, as well as an intuitive healer. So I wear many hats, but it's all in love and it's all in serving the universe and God and living out my purpose. So today's topic is leaving a toxic relationship. I'm going to give you 5 things that you must have before you're even ready to leave. Trust me. I have experience in toxic relationships, and at some point in our lives, we all have, or we will, whether it's a childhood trauma, a bad relationship where you learned something, or you may have repeated it or anything, but I am a firm believer that we all have experienced toxicity somewhere. But this video is specifically catered to those who are like me, stuck in the realms of how to leave this person. And it all boils down to a few things, but we're going to talk about that later. So today I'm going to talk about 5 things that I feel, these are 5 things that I needed. And I know I'm not alone. I know that there are other people like me that are struggling, because especially if you're dealing with a person with a mental illness, like narcissistic people or psychopaths, or any of the dark triad personalities, which is based off of their childhood trauma as well. So especially if you're dealing with that particular type of person, it can be very difficult to leave. And if you're an empath with no boundaries, which is what I was dealing with, it's extremely difficult because you deal with shame and guilt, even if it's not your own. So let's get started. We're going to talk about 5 things that you need before you're even ready to leave somebody that's toxic. And I do want to say that people don't understand the realm or the dynamic of toxic relationships, and those that don't, hooray, congratulations, you don't deal with it, you can recognize it, you can spot it, that's good, that's great. Some people don't, they haven't gotten to that platform or that level of spiritual growth or maturity. So this video is geared to those people. So if you know somebody that is in a toxic relationship, and they don't want to hear it, because that's one of the symptoms of being in a toxic relationship. You shut other people out, and that's a part of the process of the toxicity. But take these tips and implement them for them, So again, let's get started. So we're going to talk about 5 things that are needed before. Remember, this is before you are ready to leave. The first thing we're going to talk about is the innate desire to want to leave. The reason I say this is because nobody can make you leave. That is your choice, not your kids, not your parents, not your friends, not anybody. God can't even make you leave unless he forces you using his tactics. But even in our disobedience from that, we won't leave. We have to want. You have to want it for yourself. You have to want it so bad that if you stay, you'll see your life ending. It has to get to that point. Let me tell you a story. I dated my soon-to-be ex-husband for 6 months. He definitely is a narcissist, OMG, like the top narcissist. I tell myself I've had multiple bad relationships, repetitive, and they got worse each time as they went along. And he is definitely the worst of all of the men that I've ever been with. But because he was the most narcissist, or because he was the most of the liars or the cheaters or whatever, it helped me to see more of what was going on inside of me. It began to help me to learn what was going on in my soul, within my heart, in my spirit, and in my mind. So for me, and this is me and how I learn, and I'm, again, sure I'm not the only one, hard-headed, in other words. But for me, I had to experience it to a level of suffrage. And that began to click with my internal being, which is this shit ain't right and get the fuck out of here. So, excuse my language. But when you're challenged with childhood traumas, and for me, that's what it is, and typically that's what it is for most people that either abuse or are abused. So the abuser is normally dealing with unhealed, unresolved traumatic issues from their past, and so is the person that's taking the abuse. So the abuse of the relationship became looked upon from a universal level because it was higher than me. I had grace that I didn't even know what grace was, what it felt like, anything, until this particular relationship, because I was being awakened to the fact that my insides weren't right with myself. I just wasn't happy. And I can honestly say that, excuse me, I can honestly say that, excuse me, I can honestly say that I was in a place of desperation, and out of all of the selections, it was all poor, by the way, but of all of the selections I had, he was talking the most that my empty spirit wanted to hear. And he knew that. As a narcissist, he saw me dead spot on. He knew what to tell me. He knew what sweet nothings to whisper in my ear. And exactly, and the thing about narcissists is that they study you. They actually study you. They study women and how to manipulate, and they're liars and vastly great at every evil thing that they can think of. But anyway, because of that, like I said, this was a universal thing. I was in love, head over heels in love, totally disobedient because I got a word to not marry this man, don't date this man, leave him alone, period. I disobeyed because I had that imbalanced innate desire that I was seeking something, and I thought he could offer it to me, but with that cognitive dissonance of him not being what he was offering me, my innate desire began to change, and that's when I started to lash out, and that's when I began to develop the desire to get the fuck out, because this man was crazy. He was a cheater, he was a liar, he was physically, verbally, sexually, emotionally, spiritually abusive, financially at times. And it began to change me because I began to act certain ways with him that I didn't even know I was. But again, all of the toxicity that was in him, I was attracting because I also had that same amount of toxicity in myself. So because of all of that, I began to get to that point where the universe was speaking to me, God was speaking to me, and it became clear. This is not working. And it didn't matter what anybody else said. It did not matter what anybody else said. My daughter even cussed me out and told me she would not talk to me until I left this man alone. She eventually came around, but it got to that point because I was definitely choosing him in this toxic relationship over everything else, even myself. And that's going to lead me to point number 2, or thing number 2. You have to know how to love yourself. For me, I didn't love myself, clearly, because it's no way that you can love yourself and you have somebody punching you in the face or choking you or calling you bitches or hoes or kicking you, or not to say that he did all these things, but some people do this, or shoot at you or pour knives. And I can honestly say I began to become so toxic with this man. I almost killed him several times, like literally. I've had to call the police on him. He's been arrested and in jail for this. And it's gotten that bad. When my ex-husband had to tell me to rest his soul, he just passed away. And that was the matter of fact, that was the last thing he told me. Why don't you leave him? He is no good for you. Now, granted, him and I had a toxic relationship as well, but this was 15 years ago. And he's learned that you ain't replacing me. So same thing with my husband that I'm about to divorce, now that I'm going through this divorce with now. He knew, and again, narcissistic people, he knew that I didn't love myself. He didn't love himself as well, but he knew that I had a level of self love that was vacant for myself, which is why he studied me, poured in that void-filled love. I, from an unhealthy place, unhealthy mindset, was thinking that this was it, and that was it. I developed an unhealthy attachment to him. And because of that, I was further taken away from loving myself. So again, going back to the innate desire to want to leave, once I got that, I started to study in myself. I started trying to figure out what was going on. Why was I accepted this? I began to do spiritual healing sessions, which I actually paid for others to do, and then through that I learned to do them myself, and then I started them with my other clients. I've done shadow work, I've done tarot reading, I've done all kinds of things to help me. I've done prayer, meditation, writing, journaling, everything. Research, study, and just listening to people. Social media is a good place for you to learn things and to see how people make mistakes and, you know, go from there. So all of that got me to a place where I started to see that I wasn't loving myself. And when I started to change the focus of him not loving me, because my job was to get this man to love me, to get him to repent for all them women he cheated on me, like literally in 18 months. He cheated on me with 8 women. And that's that I know of. It's probably more than that. But because I lacked that self-love, I wasn't even able to see what this man was doing. I was literally in La La Land. But that was because of the lack of self-love. So one day he told me during an argument, which we argue literally every day, but he literally told me, if you ain't gonna do nothing about it, shut the fuck up. Oh wow. And this was how we spoke to each other. I'll admit it. Because I got a foul mouth too. But I learned even through that, that was an expression of the lack of love that I had for myself. Because as a woman, feminine energy, it don't matter. Feminine energy will top and topple over masculine energy. But I had to learn that, and that was a process or a part of learning to love yourself. I actually created virtual online courses called Mending. Oh, I did a couple of them. Mending What's Been Broken, and it's actually related to my book, which is called Mending a Broken Heart. So I created a 6-week course called Mend What's Broken, and it actually goes into the concepts of the things that you need to do. And some of those things with the self-love I talk about in my relationship, and I talk about in my book, I talk about dealing with rejection. This was big for me. This was a big part of learning to love myself and to recognize that I didn't love myself, because I would take everything that this man did to me personally. And that's a part about learning how to deal with rejection, because it's not about you. I had to physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally learn and read my own book again. Read my own book. And I do that. When I slip and get away, I will read my own book. It's like my Bible, you know. Because, and I say that not being sarcastic or funny or overpowering the words of God, but I say it because it took me 4 hours to write this book. Literally, I nonstop. I wrote for 4 hours, and I have carpal tunnel, and that's usually unrealistic for me. But the Lord wrote this book. He just used my hand and my pen and paper. So it's my Bible. I know that I'm talking to myself. I wrote this book for myself because it was actually me journaling, and I put the journals together, and I actually went through everything that I talk about in this book. But that course taught me to begin to learn to love myself and to understand the importance of it. So as I began to learn and focus more on myself, it distracted me from being attached to what he was doing. So he began to no longer bother me. And it's a process. It's definitely a process, and it took me months to actually do this, and I had to endure many things within. Because honestly, some of the things that he would say that were foul were true, and I had to come to grips with that. And it was a reason why he was telling me. Because had anybody else said it, had I heard it from a YouTube video or something else, I wouldn't have believed it. So God always has a greater plan, and that's why we have to understand that learning these 5 things will prepare you to be ready to leave. And when you get ready, that's when you're able to leave that toxic relationship. So knowing to love yourself is definitely vital in this part. So if you are not at that place where, and I get it, thinking about what they're doing every time especially if they cheated or they lied. Every time they walk out the door, you wondering, what are they doing? If they're having sex with somebody, if they're spending your money on somebody, it drives you crazy. But if you take that focus off of them and place it on yourself and figure out why you're doing this. That's a question to ask yourself. Why am I doing this? Why am I worried about what he doing? Like, I had to come to grips with every negative thing that my husband said to me. I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm a whore, I'm a bitch, I'm a slut. I mean, all of these negative things. I had to come to grips. Okay, if he thinks this way about me, and even in the process of healing and coming back and restoring, because we broke up before, restoring and healing and recovery, and even in the process of me telling him I'm leaving, he has the nerve to call me garbage. Like, you want me to remember, you want me to fight for this. Why would I fight for a man that still thinks of me in a negative way, still can't express his love for me, if there is any? I can't do that. And because I'm at that place now, I know that loving myself is more important than loving him. And I've dealt with that, with codependency issues, unhealthy attachment issues. And I talk about that in my programs that I write about. I actually have a online program. It's a virtual program. It's called Healing from Infidelity and Staying, which is something that I actually tried to do. And I created that program through that process. And it talks about the attachment styles that we had when we were growing up. And because of that and how we develop into this personality that we have as adults. And I was very codependent because I grew up searching for things and trying to please. I was a people pleaser and I wanted to please this man. And I had this belief that leaving someone because something's wrong with them is not right. But no, I had to switch that. When I started loving myself, it was more about, no, this motherfucker treats me wrong. That's not right. So I know God does not want me to continue, especially if he's giving me grace to get through and signs on how to get out. No, it's impossible. This relationship was specifically designed to get me to where I am today. So I am able to do this video and say what I'm saying right now, because it's an epidemic, it's a pandemic. It's because of the COVID virus, domestic violence has increased. It has increased. Couples are realizing now that because they're forced to talk to each other or to be together, they don't even like each other. They don't even love themselves. Some people don't even know what love is. And you've had these long drawn out relationships to where you didn't even love them. And that's how the relationship became toxic in the first place. So knowing how to love yourself will begin to help you to build those walls of protection against what that person is saying and doing to you. So in other words, what they do no longer bothers you. So, and this will lead us to our next point. It's not that you're hating them, you don't care. You're not loving them because you're learning to love yourself and you're focusing on yourself, but you're not there. And this leads us to number 3, which is forgiveness. You've forgiven them. And forgiveness is a choice, by the way. So number 3 is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice. It is something that we do not only to release the pain that's attached to whatever it is we're forgiving or whatever it is that was done. It is definitely our way of getting back our control. What this person no longer bothers us. What they did no longer bothers us. And you become indifferent. You become apathetic. You just don't care. When you hate them, that means you still care. So if you did leave them with you hating them, especially if you're the abused, you'll go back. you'll go back because you still have unresolved feelings. So what you want to do is get to a place where you have no feelings at all. You don't care. You don't wish bad on them or good, or if you do wish good, not too good to whatever, you can wish good on them, but you don't want to do it too good because you know that they're not going to replace you. Remember I said that, ain't nobody replacing me. And honestly, my ex-husband died realizing that and told me that too. He died of a broken heart trying to replace me. But anyway, learning to, and that was a process of forgiveness where we were actually cool, but as long as you still have that hate within your heart for him, and I had to learn that, because even that hate was still him controlling me. That was him still able to get a reaction from me. So once I got through that phase, and I still work on it every day. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because we aren't physically separated now, but we're going through the process. But even during this phase, it's difficult because I'm seeing even more of his true self. And he thinks that it's lashing out and helping, but he's trying to guilt me into staying. But no, you're just reminding me to love myself and to connect with that innate desire to leave you. And because I've forgiven him, I'm able to do that. I've empowered myself to be able to do that because that forgiveness actually empowered me. It gave me a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing things, and it had nothing to do with him. And again, you got to take this from him or them. If it's a her, you got to take it from them and put it in your hand, because this is your life, and you have to realize this is your life. This is your life. You are in control of your life. You decide whether somebody's gonna make you cry or not. You decide if what somebody else does hurts you. Nobody has that power. And when you forgive yourself, that's another part of forgiveness. When you forgive like I had to forgive myself for choosing this man. I had to open my mouth and admit that I made a bad choice. He lied to me, but I should have been able to discern those lies. And I'm actually in the process of doing a virtual course now. It's called Situational Relationship Coaching, where I put you through three situations before you even get in a relationship with a person, and how you can spot it out and run, so you don't have to go through this. Because he lied to me, and I was in a place of desperation. Remember, in a place of desperation, insecurity, fear-filled, anxious, wanting to have something that I thought I needed, but I used this particular relationship to replace something that only I could replace myself. So I had to forgive myself for that. And once I learned that I'm human, I am not perfect, although I am striving to be the best me, I'm not perfect, nobody is. And I had to realize that about him as well. He has issues, mental issues, emotional issues, and I had to respect that. Number 4 is new vision. You got to have a new vision for yourself. You got to see things differently. You have to be able to vision your life without this person. You have to be able to dream and have hope and aspirations and actually manifest this particular part physically in your life. You have to want it. You literally have to want it. And like I said, with number 1, the innate desire has to be there for you to be able to see this new vision. Once I started seeing myself dating other people and being at peace, or this man actually told me that there was no way I would be happy without him in my life. That I was lying to myself by saying I didn't want to believe. I didn't want to be with him. What? Okay. Anyway, that's toxic if it is nothing else. Who are you to tell me that I want? But you know what? He was speaking from the way that I was acting. I was showing him that I couldn't live without him by taking his bullshit. So he was trained to think this way. But the arrogance and the delivery of it just pissed me off. And that helped me to begin to see more of that new vision, where I saw myself enjoying life without them. So I had to literally ask myself, if I never saw this man again in my life, would I be okay with that? Yes, absolutely. Sure. I mean, it got to that point, and it has to get to that point for you. If it doesn't get to that point, you can leave 1,000 times, but you'll be back. Him and I had separated at least five times. Relationship before that, 2 or 3 times. That was in a 9-month period. The relationships before that, just toxic. Big old bowl of toxicity. But at some point you have to learn that it is you that are toxic. You are attracting, and not even the attraction part, because we attract things. We may have a day of negativity and that's attracted to us. That's normal. It's the choices that we make. So you have to ask yourself, why did you choose this person? And that helped me. Why did I choose him? What void, or what was it that he was fulfilling for me that I felt like I needed, that I was willing to take 8 women for, and hands around my neck and knife at his throat, and what was it? And at the end of the day, it was me not loving myself, because everything that he didn't give me is what I actually needed. He didn't fulfill anything. He didn't fulfill anything with me, and had the nerve to tell me I didn't offer him anything when we met. And after we discussed it, but love. What? So from the very beginning, he didn't see my value. And that was the problem. And because I didn't see my value, I didn't recognize that he didn't see my value, that he was pretending to only see my value. So once you get to that place of having that new vision, like literally, I'm planning a divorce party. I'm actually going to do a virtual divorce party, and I'm going to start that for other women or men that are going through the same thing. Celebrate. It is a time to celebrate this new vision. It is a time to realize that there is newness behind that separation. I remember the last time him and I separated, and my 11-year-old daughter, she was 10 at the time, I believe, gave me the most wisest advice. And that's fucked up, but it was true. I was sad because I was still at that place where I was attached to him and I wasn't ready to leave. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to work the relationship out. She told me, well, mommy, at least you get to go try and get a man that really loves you and is going to treat you right. An 11-year-old. This is from a perspective that has agape love and purity, never been hurt. That's the concept that we have to have, and not be afraid of leaving somebody. We have to learn to step outside of our comfort zone and not be afraid. And that's what it was. That fear kept me from moving forward. And it was the fear that I needed him. With his arrogance, her wisdom, my experience, God's grace, my fed upness, I got to the point where I was ready to leave. And I'm actually taking those steps. And this will lead us to that last thing. Plan of action. You got to make a plan of action. All of these 4 previous things have gotten me to number 5. And now I'm in the process. That's why I say we're not physically separated, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, it's already your money. Well, actually, it's always been his money, my money. I didn't ever make any money. My money was always wasted, even though his was always wasted. But he has always paid the bill. Whatever. Anyway, drama, toxicity. But you got to have a plan of action. So now I'm in the process of finding new housing, and even thought of just kicking him out, but once he told me he's not leaving, I already know that's a narcissistic play, manipulations tactic. So now it's, are you gonna leave in August? No. September, maybe, I don't know. I don't have time for that. So guess what? I'll leave. I will take his advice. If you ain't gonna do shit about it, be quiet. I'm going to be active and do shit about it. So I'm planning, saving money, looking for housing, letting other people know. And a part of that letting other people know for me, this may not work for you because some people may want to keep this a secret and say it at the end, but I've deleted him from Facebook. I have started the process as if we are not together because I see that new vision. I'm walking into that new vision. And I'm letting other people know so that I can hold myself accountable. I can hold myself accountable. So, and I've had people congratulate me. That's why I said it's a party. It is a celebration to leave somebody that is hurting you. It is a celebration. It is a celebration of yourself. It is a celebration of newness to come in. It is a celebration of God's grace and his glory. And then you also have to learn. God can't show his glory if you don't tell your story. And me leaving and sharing this with you and helping other people is me sharing my story. I no longer have the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment, the fear, the worry, I don't care about that no more. Because I'm learning to love myself. I'm tapping into my innate desires to know what it is that I want. I'm forgiving those that have hurt me. I see a new vision and a new place for myself, and I'm putting things into play. So before I let you go, there are a couple of things that I want to ask you that you can ask yourself, a couple of questions that you can ask yourself. And these will definitely be further clarifiers to whether it is time for you to leave that toxic relationship. Do you find that this person makes you feel unloved when you're with them? Or how do you feel with this person when you're with them? For me, totally insecure, jealous, fearful, unloved, unrespected, uncared for, unattended to. Those aren't good feelings. That's not love. That's not love. This man actually told me and whispered in my ear. This was about a week after not even speaking or conversing. We were talking, but it was the morning or whatever, but not conversing with each other. He whispered in my ear and said, even though I hate you, don't mean that I don't love you. And because I stay in a room all day and play video games, don't mean that I don't care about your feelings. What? No, it means exactly that. But from a narcissistic perspective, what they see is really the opposite of what actually is. Like, they can tell you that they think that you're cheating because X, Y, Z. That's probably their confession and their way of telling you how they're doing it. So being around this particular type of person doesn't make you feel loved at all. Therefore, it helps me to shift that love, because the love is in me. The love is in you. It helps you to shift that love from them to you. So how does this person make you feel when you're with them? And do you two both still desire to be around each other? For me, that was a no. Because literally, the best thing that we would say to each other was good morning. Like, literally, that's it. If we tried to converse at any time during the day, within 3 sentences, we were arguing. He was walking out, and since it's quarantine, you don't have nowhere to go, but outside the basement or in the room, or whatever, or upstairs, whatever. Back in the room. Back in the room. If I say something he doesn't like, doesn't agree with, makes him feel some type of guilty way for something he actually did, or whatever, something, anything. If it was anything, if he didn't like the tone of it, I was offending him. If I even mentioned the thought of it, he was offended. What? It got to the point where he didn't want me to talk about it. I couldn't even have body language to it. Boy, bye. You're doing too much. Now, see, that was my max and my point. You're doing too much, and it's getting carried away now. This ain't the type of person that I really am. I got to the point where I had to realize, look, fool, I thought you was going to change, but you're not. I got to go, period. You are wasting my time. At this particular point, you're wasting my time. Before, I was exploring and learning and understanding and healing and okay, now you're wasting my damn time. And now that I know what it is, now I'm held accountable for my actions. And I have to do what I'm telling you to do right now. Leave that toxic person behind. Find out how, by these 5 things that I just told you. 1, you gotta have that innate desire. Allow what they're doing to hurt you to a point where you no longer want to be hurt again. So whenever they call you a bitch, okay, let it hurt. Let it boil your blood. So you can start saying, why is this boiling my blood? Let me fix this. You gotta have that innate desire. Know how to love yourself. Practice self-love. Get to the place where you're practicing self-love, because if you shift that focus from them onto yourself, they're gonna start wondering, and that might actually get them to change. I'm not saying that they're gonna go from toxic to saints, but you might see a spark in, and some of these things might actually get them to change to where they start seeing your healing, and that energy can shift to them and they desire to hear. You never know. You never know what God has planned, but this right now is your focus. This right now is your focus. That's not your job to be worried about what could happen 2 years from now from this. This is your focus. And that's the problem with people. We too busy doing our job, their job, and God's job. No, your job, your assignment is to leave this toxic person. And whatever happens from there is up to him or her to do what they need to do and what the universe and God needs to do. But your assignment is to get them innate desires in order. Know to love yourself. Build that wall of protection so what they begin to do to you or what they continue to do will no longer hurt you. Empower yourself. Forgive them and you. If they have a mental illness, that's what helps me. The man crazy. And it's excuse me, I won't say crazy because people call me crazy and I hate that shit. But he a psychopath. I can say that. He is definitely a psychopath. He has definitely, if not one, two, three of the dark triads. And narcissistic, borderline personality, and psychopath. So technically he crazy. Anyway, but me being who I am, which is a nurturer, carer, a loving person, like I love love. I'm a lover of love. I love to see healthy relationships. I love to see people I love to see men with their children. I love to see women taking care of their husbands. I love that. Like for me, that's it for me. Getting in a healthy relationship and having a strong foundational family to where we prosper and create beautiful beings in this world and change the world, because that's my mission, to change the world one broken heart at a time. I love that. I love when family dynamics are strong and they work through problems. They don't put each other through bullshit, toxicity ass problems. And if they do, they work through it. It's temporary. Something may happen. You may lose somebody and you begin to abuse a drug, and it's different, but you work through that. You may lose your job and your self-esteem is plummeted and you can't feel like a provider, so you get angry. Work through that. I get that. But to be toxic and have a mental illness to where you think you can't control it, because even if you get medicine, that's helping the mental illness. If you study the illness, like I actually have bipolar and borderline personality disorder. No, I was really an empath with no boundaries. I discovered that those medical terms are just psychological ways to brainwash you to thinking something's wrong with you so you can take some medicine, but really it's something going on wrong inside your spirit. It's not you, it's the inside of you that has been damaged and tortured and abused, that's crying out. And that's why people act the way they act and do what they do. So innate desire, know to love yourself, forgiveness, have that new vision. That vision is what's going to make the manifestation real, and put a plan of action in place. Whew. Oh, this was a good video. I really enjoyed it. So I hope I helped somebody today. I definitely feel good about the video that I'm producing to you today because it's actually helping me. Take that advice. And again, remember, I'm your personal relationship coach. I specialize in mental illness and family studies. And this is what I do. I love it. So if you need help with implementing any of these things, if you want to know information about how to get a copy of my book or how to get the program that's the virtual course that's attached to it, Mend What's Been Broken. I also have an online course that's called Why So Toxic, Babe? Better yet, Why Do I Stay? It's actually perfectly complementing this video today. So if you're interested, if this is something that really interests you, definitely go on my Facebook page and request my groups, which I'll list them on here. I have several of them, I'm sorry. Relationship Warriors. This one in particular, you can do Mending. I have a group, Mending the Broken Heart. Actually, you can just do Mending the Broken Heart. And once you get familiar with this group, then you can follow me on the other pages as well. But request that Mending the Broken Heart group. Join the group, get the information. The class is 6 weeks. It's $59 a week if you want to pay per week. Or you can pay up front for $299, and that's like, I think, a $50 savings or something. Cash App or PayPal is available if you are interested in it. Again, if not, and you definitely want to just order the book, you can do that. $15 will get you a signed autograph copy. Sure will. You can inbox me if you're interested in that. But thank you so much Thank you so much. And if you're seeing this video on YouTube, my Facebook page is Tanya Austin, or Tanya the Author Austin. I even have several Facebook pages as well. But go ahead, take this advice, take these tips, and do what you need to do. Baby girl or baby boy, leave that raggedy man or raggedy woman alone, because you know what? Come here. I'm gonna tell you a secret. My lips are a little crusty, but that's okay. You deserve it. I had to figure that out. You deserve it. You deserve somebody that loves you, that treats you right, respects you, honors you, cherishes you. Not somebody that calls you out your name and chokes you and hits you and cheats on you because of you. They cheat on you because of something you did. What? Okay, anyway. Free yourself from toxic people. Free the toxicity from yourself. Leave that relationship. I actually had to tell my husband, he swears I'm leaving him for a man. I said, sweetheart, I'm not leaving you for a man. I'm leaving you for me. So take that advice. If you want a coaching session, you can definitely reach me at my personal cell, which is 248-842-8671. And if you're on Facebook, you can definitely inbox me. That's another page, Coaching with the Conscious Mindset. And again, I have plenty of pages and groups that I share. I have my Narcissistic Love group, my Mending What's Broken group, so many groups. My Daily Love Tips group, I kind of like that one. I like giving the daily love tips because, again, I'm a lover of love. So anyway, these are your 5 things that you need to do before you are ready to leave that toxic relationship. So this is Tanya, Coach Tanya, your relationship coach, or what I like to call myself, the love doctor or the repair doctor. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Check me out. I'll check you out. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. Like and share this page. Like and share this page. Like and share this page. Get used to saying that. Like and share this page. I had to get used to saying that because, you know, I was really not, I don't like sales, but whatever. Why not? Like and share this page. I need you to like and share, because even if you don't like it, you can share it. Somebody else might like it. But thank you. Again, this is Tanya K. Austin, your relationship, your personal relationship and life coach and intuitive healer. Join me next time. Bye.